What if a facehugger attacked the thing? What then? What happens when you pit the universe's most persistent parasite against the ultimate biological shapeshifter? Before we unleash this nightmare fuel, let's first go over exactly what the thing is. Picture the most adaptable organism you can imagine, then multiply that by about 1,000. That's the thing. Every single cell in its body is basically its own complete organism. Each tiny piece of the thing can think, plan, and survive on its own. It's like if every cell in your body suddenly developed its own brain and survival instinct, but still played nice with all the others when it needed to. But that's just scratching the surface of what makes the thing so pants-wettingly terrifying. When it gets hold of you, it's not just doing some cheap Halloween costume copy job. Instead, it performs a perfect biological mimicry down to the molecular level. It doesn't just look like you, it becomes you. Your memories, copied. Your voice, perfect match. Even your blood cells under a microscope would look exactly right, and it can do this to any living thing it touches, from the smallest dog to the biggest whale. The really creepy part? It can split itself into smaller pieces or join together into bigger ones, whenever it wants. Got it cornered? Surprise. Now you're dealing with 6 different things. Think you've trapped a small variant of the thing? Watch it turn into something the size of a truck by absorbing whatever organic matter is around. It's like trying to fight a jigsaw puzzle that's made of flesh and can think for itself. Now let's talk about our other player in this cosmic horror show, the facehugger. These little nightmares might look like someone crossed a spider with a raw chicken and gave it an attitude problem. But they're actually one of the most efficient parasitic delivery systems ever dreamed up. Also, until Alien Romulus, everyone thought these things just shoved a ready-made alien embryo down into you and called it a day. But turns out the truth is way more complicated and way weirder. What they're actually throwing into you is something called plagiarist prepotence. And yes, that name should scare you. This stuff is like a biological nuclear bomb mixed with the world's most aggressive architect. It doesn't just kill and replace, it rewrites, rebuilds, and restructures. We're talking about a substance that can take your basic genetic code, tear it apart, and rebuild it into something completely new. It mutates the cells inside you and causes them to create a xenomorph. This stuff works fast too. In just a few hours, it can turn a single cell into a fully formed creature, with organs, acid blood, and an attitude problem. But here's the thing. A facehugger wouldn't be able to do much to a thing variant. Why? Well, it's like trying to facehug something made of water. The moment that facehugger makes contact, the thing could just change its shape, and the facehugger would lose its grip, and then the thing's cells would start their own invasion right back. Remember, the thing doesn't need a working throat or lungs. The facehugger would essentially be trying to infect something that's trying to infect it right back. But here's where things get really interesting. What if someone like David managed to force these 2 biological nightmares to actually mix? Imagine containing a sample of the thing in some inescapable cell and exposing it to pure plagiarist prepotence without involving a facehugger. What would happen then? Let us now speculate the result of this little experiment by David. Picture the initial contact. The plagiarist prepotence, a swirling iridescent liquid teeming with mutagenic potential, is introduced into the containment chamber. Opposite it lies the thing, a mass of pulsating, amorphous flesh, its surface rippling with ever-changing forms as if it's a living hallucination. As the mutagen seeps toward the thing, there's an immediate and visceral reaction. The thing's cells, which are usually masters of assimilation and mimicry, encounter a substance designed to overwrite and repurpose biological matter at a fundamental level. The plagiarist prepotence doesn't just invade cells. It commandeers them, forcing them to construct a xenomorph's genetic blueprint. At first, there's a violent cellular clash. The thing attempts to consume and replicate the mutagen, its cells enveloping the substance in an effort to absorb it. But the plagiarist prepotence is no ordinary organic material. It retaliates by infiltrating the thing's cells, initiating a rapid and irreversible transformation. The containment chamber's walls begin to tremble as the mass inside convulses. Monitors display a flurry of genetic activity, gene splicing, DNA helixes unwinding and reassembling at breakneck speed. The thing's infamous adaptability is now being hijacked and redirected. Visually, the creature that emerges is a nightmare amalgamation. Imagine a being that melts the eerie, biomechanical aesthetic of a xenomorph with the chaotic, ever-shifting form of the thing. Its exoskeleton is a patchwork of glossy black chitin interspersed with areas of exposed, throbbing flesh that seem to morph and change with every passing second. The creature's silhouette is vaguely humanoid, but with grotesque distortions. A limb might split into multiple appendages tipped with razor-sharp claws, or extend like a tentacle before solidifying back into a skeletal arm. The head retains the elongated, eyeless dome characteristic of a xenomorph, but beneath the smooth surface, shadows writhe and contort, as if faces or forms are pressing against it from the inside, trying to break free. Occasionally, a maw will appear where none existed before, snapping with the iconic inner jaws, only to disappear and re-emerge elsewhere on its body. From its back sprouts the xenomorph's dorsal tubes, but these too are mutable, extending, retracting, or splitting into additional limbs or whip-like tendrils that can grasp or impale with terrifying speed. The creature's tail is a serpentine appendage that can divide into multiple segments, each acting independently to ensnare or slash at prey. Behaviorally, this hybrid abomination is a fusion of predatory instincts and cunning intelligence. It possesses the thing's capacity for strategic thought and problem-solving, combined with the xenomorph's relentless drive to hunt and propagate. It doesn't just react to threats, it anticipates them. Surveillance footage shows it testing the boundaries of its enclosure, probing for weaknesses, and even feigning vulnerabilities to lure in unsuspecting observers. But perhaps the most chilling capability is its method of reproduction and infection. Unlike the xenomorph, which requires a host for its facehugger stage, this hybrid can generate microscopic spores, tiny fragments of itself, that can be inhaled or come into contact with skin. Once inside another organism, these spores initiate a rapid assimilation process, converting the host cells into more of the hybrid creature. Imagine entire facilities falling silent as staff are covertly infected, their bodies transforming from within. One moment they're human, the next, they erupt into grotesque forms, sprouting claws and fangs, their eyes glazing over as they become extensions of the hive mind. And the infection doesn't stop with humans. Any organic matter is susceptible. Forests could become nightmarish landscapes. Wildlife transforms into monstrous versions of themselves, stalking the shadows with newfound predatory abilities. Attempts to contain or destroy the creature prove futile. Traditional weaponry is largely ineffective. Bullets may pierce its form, but the wounds close almost instantly. Or worse, the expelled biomass forms into smaller creatures that attack independently. Flamethrowers, the go-to weapon against both xenomorphs and the thing, have limited success. While fire damages its physical form, the creature learns and adapts. It develops heat-resistant exoskeletal layers, or releases heat-dissipating fluids to protect itself. Even nuclear options are a gamble. The creature's spores could be carried aloft in the aftermath, spreading the infection over a wider area. The very act of attempting to annihilate it could inadvertently facilitate its global dispersion. In conclusion, mixing the thing with plagiarist prepotence creates a scenario that pushes the boundaries of horror and science fiction. Luckily, for now, such a monstrosity remains in the realm of imagination, but who knows, maybe in 2 decades, or less, you'll be able to live out this nightmare in some BCI-enabled VR simulation.